Hello everyone, my name is Alira Donisvich, and today I'll be giving you a quick tutorial about how to complete an Alumni Association grant application. You will notice that there are some spring 2020 dates on this version, but all the information applies to all cycles. I just needed something to go over with you all, so we're using this cycle's application information. So when you come to apply for a grant, it is an online application through SurveyMonkey. All of your application materials will be uploaded through this SurveyMonkey, and there's also lots of important information to review. So please do take time to read through everything before applying. And once you do, you'll just click next. There's also a bit of important information up here at the top, including the budget worksheet link, application agreement link, my contact information. Should you have any questions at any point, please do feel free to reach out. You can also see the grants program purpose and the Alumni Association mission. Those are important to look at as there is a question in the application asking about how your program aligns with those two pieces. So you'll want to go through the application or applicant information section. For this whole application, please make sure to use as much detail as possible. The more detail you provide, the better picture, a clearer picture the grants committee can have of what it is you're hoping to do and receive funding for. That way they have the information they need as they're making their decisions. So you'll list your organization name, your project name, how many people you think will participate, the amount you are requesting. You can request up to $2,500 for a grant. That is the maximum grant that can be awarded. Your project or program dates, your contact information and your affiliation, your general contact information, what department or unit you are a part of. So say, for example, you are a club or student organization, you could list student involvement and leadership rather here, because that's the department that kind of helps oversee all the student organizations and clubs. You'll also want to list the name of your advisor, department chair, or dean. So this is the person who's reviewing your application. As you're reading through the information, I kind of scrolled through quickly earlier. You'll need to remember, there's a note in there too, please make sure you leave enough time in your application process so that your advisor or whoever is reviewing your application has enough time to do so thoroughly. They will need to sign off on the application agreement, certifying they did review your application thoroughly. So please do make sure you are thinking ahead and trying to make sure they have enough time to do that for you so that you can submit everything on time. So yeah, so complete that section, then you'll come down here, and this is where, the details really come in. So what is the principal purpose of your organization or group? I like to think of this as kind of a mission statement. What is your purpose? What is it that you are achieving, hoping to achieve? What are you doing? That way the committee can know who you are and what you're all about. Then you'll provide an executive summary. And one thing that I do find helpful, you can expand these boxes as you go through. So they're not as small as they appear. You can always do that. So just showing you how that works. That way you can kind of see everything as you're typing it out. Details are important here. You want to include how your program and project align with the goals of the grants program and the mission of the Alumni Association, how your program or project will impact current or future students, alumni, and the university community. So what is it that you're doing? What are you applying for? Give all those awesome details about the amazing things you're working on. Have you or your organization previously applied? I know sometimes not everybody knows the answer to this, but the important thing to note here is that have you applied for this specific project or program, right? So if you don't know, you can click unsure, but if you do or can find out, that is very helpful for the grants committee. If yes, you'll want to list when you applied for funding and indicate whether or not you did receive funding. As I mentioned earlier, you'll be uploading your grant agreement here along with your budget worksheet. I'll toggle back to those in a second. We'll take a quick peek. But those will ultimately be uploaded here. Another really important piece is please do include additional supporting materials. They're strongly encouraged, not required, but they really do help the grants committee know what it is you all are doing and can help them as they come to their decisions. So you can describe what it is you are submitting down here. And then the supporting documents, you can upload up to 4. If you need to send more for some reason, please feel free to email me. I'll attach them to your application, or you can just merge them all together and submit them in one. So that's an option too. The other piece I'll mention here is if there's something that you want to tell the grants committee that didn't fit into any of the other questions, you are welcome to add more here. So this is just a field for you to use if there's other things you'd like them to know about, consider, so on. So yes, please do submit supporting documents, pictures, marketing materials, letters of support, quotes from past programs, whatever you have that, again, paint that clear, full, beautiful picture for the grants committee. All right, here, try not to get dizzy as I scroll up. So let's look at the budget worksheet first. So this is downloadable. You cannot complete it. And here it's set up to only allow viewing. That way someone's not accidentally playing with it and then it impacts everyone. So you'll want to download that. You can do that by coming up to File. Let's see why it's not working. Oh, save as. There we go. Download a copy. You'll download the copy to your desktop. If you do use Google Sheets, you can just plop that into your Google Drive. It should open up in there successfully. So if you don't have Excel, that's another way to approach it. So yeah, so you'll want to make sure all the information here at the top matches what's on the application. We have seen a few applications come through where they accidentally list the wrong grant amount that they are requesting. So please make sure to double check all your numbers and information before submitting. Again, the reminder, please describe your revenue and expenses using as much detail as possible. And please don't include anticipated grant funds in this revenue section. You'll want to include notes and the amounts. In fact, actually, let me pull up, I have an example. All right, so this is a completely made up version, but I wanted to give you an example of what it might look like as you're completing it. The green fields will update on their own as you work through the sheet, so please don't edit those. They do have formulas attached to them. So yeah, so here you can see I explained everything. I listed the amounts. And then the total will come here. So the grants committee, the revenue, it just helps them know how you are funding your program outside of the grants funds, the potential grant funds. This area down here is really important. So this does not calculate into like the totaling columns because they are pending or potential funding sources that are not guaranteed. So a good example of this is fundraisers, right? So say you have a fundraising goal of $300. You don't know, you may raise more than that, you may raise less, but you have a $300 goal. So we'd like you to list that here so that the committee knows that you are seeking other funding sources too. Again, that picture of knowing what it is you guys are working with is helpful to them as they make their decisions. But this won't impact your funding or the totals or the funding you're eligible for at all. All right, so expenses. This is where you'll list all the expenses associated with your project or program that you're applying to support. Again, please provide details. An example of this is, say I have a food truck that I want to come in. They've given me an estimate of $12 per person for them to get some food and a drink. And then, so I would just list that here to give the committee an idea of where does this amount come from? You'll also want to make sure that if you do have ineligible expenses, that you list them out here. Even though we can't fund these things, it's helpful to know that they are expenses that you're incurring. That way we see your whole financial picture. So you can see everything totals down here. And this is your budget summary. Again, no need to touch the green areas. They'll calculate on their own. but this is where everything totals up. And you want to just make sure that the funding you are applying for is eligible, right? So this is way more than I'm applying for. I can only apply for $2,500, but I need more than I'm applying for. If you need less than you're applying for, then that will draw some question marks. So just make sure that all this adds up correctly for you as you are working on your expenses, which it'll add up on its own. So no need to stress about that piece, but just make sure everything's in there so we have all the information we need. All right, so I think that's the budget sheet. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. General rule, more details are better. All right, so I'm not going to save that puppy. We're done with this. All right, so let's go back to the application. So again, that budget worksheet will be uploaded right here. So question 8. And the application agreement. So this is the piece I mentioned. You'll want to make sure you give your advisor or whoever is reviewing your application enough time to do so so that they can sign off on it in time for you to submit your application. Please do review the brief description of the grant criteria and sign off. You will need to sign a signature. So that can be a digital signature, that could be signed with a real pen, and you could always take a picture and upload it that way, but make sure you do sign it, date it, and then your printed name. When you download this, it will download so that you can type in your printed name. And will make it easier for you. So I would download it to complete it to make life easier. All right, so yes, so you will have completed those 2 pieces, filled all this out, upload them here, and then don't forget to click done. Make sure you click done. It won't submit on its own. So make sure you hit this button and then it's sent over to us. And I usually respond between 2 and 3 business days. I try to come in here and check to see which applications have been submitted. But if you, for some reason, don't hear from me and want to make sure I received it, please feel free to email me. It can sometimes help to know that application has been submitted. Just make sure nothing was lost in translation. But otherwise, you will receive a confirmation email from me in 2 to 3 days after you submit your application. And I think that's everything. Again, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help answer questions, and I do hope this was helpful for you. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your application. Take care.